Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace family, this is your brother Mr. Holipsism. I'm doing this video today because this is a subject I haven't really touched on much in my video library. And I really try to stay away from the relationship thing. And I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe I should try to dig more into it. But it's just that, I didn't want to be a part of the YouTube wars between black men and black women. And I think that my take on things is a little bit different than most people when it comes to the whole relationship thing and the talking points that are being discussed out here in YouTube land and BTR and all these other places. My position is simply that until we address these pink elephants in the room, and I'm talking about for both men and women, because what I'm going to talk about crosses the genders. If we don't talk about these fundamental pink elephants in the room, then the whole discussion is just disingenuous and a waste of time on both men and women's part, because I come from the position that both men and women are full of shit. So if anybody sits here and expects me to defend men or to defend women, I'm not, because they're both full of shit. I'm speaking from a man's perspective, so I'll give it, I'll be as fair as I can to both. But I think that what I'm going to talk about crosses the spectrum. The number one pink elephant in the room that I don't hear in these discussions, I hear a bunch of blaming. I hear women are saying, oh, there's no good men out there. And the men are saying, oh, there's no good women out there. And blah, 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 for whatever myriad of reasons. But the pink elephant in the room that I don't hear in these discussions is this. And here it is. Here's the number one pink elephant in the room. What is good for us is not what we are attracted to. Now, if I'm lying, hit me up and, give me a thumbs down or whatever. If I'm telling the truth, then acknowledge that the pink elephant has been addressed. A good man doesn't make your pussy wet. A good woman doesn't make your dick hard. See, what you got a lot of people doing is they're going after what they are physically and sexually attracted to, what gets their motor revved up. When they see it and they start getting, heart starts beating faster and blah, that's what you go for. But the problem is that doesn't necessarily coincide with what you want ideologically from a mate. So basically what I mean by that, women are trying to take Lil Wayne and 50 Cent and turn them into Malcolm X. And then you got the men attempting to take Nicki Minaj or Buffy the Body and trying to transform her into Queen Hatshepsut. This is the problem. It's not that the problem is coming from outside of us, like, oh, well, these people just ain't good or nobody. Come on, man. What it is that you are attracted to a certain type. Now, I'll be honest. For me, I'm a leg and I'm an ass man. And I love, so if I see a sister and she's got the legs and she got the ass and she can walk, like when she has that walk, that's like my kryptonite right there. You got to acknowledge your bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Both men and women got to acknowledge they bullshit. Now, there's a lot of women out there who are church going women or conscious women, and on the surface they want a conscious dude. But a conscious dude on the surface is maybe not what gets you hot, not what gets you wet, what turns or gets your motor revved up. What might get your motor revved up is some dude with his pants hanging down, with tats all over his ass, and look like he been in the gym like the whole damn week. That might be what gets your motor revving. Admit that. Admit that. Until you admit what you are attracted to and acknowledge. Now, sometimes what you're attracted to is not good for you. So then you got to make a choice. Are you going to abandon that thing to get your motor revved up or try to transform that into something else? Or are you going to sit here and bullshit and take something that you know ain't good for you and then try to work it out and try to make things work? It don't work that way. So that's the first pink elephant in the room. Second is these complaints about you can't find a good man / woman, or there's nobody out there for you. I hear this all the time. Men and women both say when they have no one, when they're not involved in a relationship or they're not dating. And I've had male friends and female friends that I talk on the phone, and they say the same talking points. Oh, there's nobody out there for me. They're usually depressed. Got to take them out and have a good time with them and get them back on the horse again. But the problem is this: when you meet somebody and then you are involved in a relationship, now all of a sudden you have so many options that's available to you that you can't settle down. Now think about that. When you wasn't with somebody, your biggest complaint was there was nobody for you. That person that was for you was so rare that there was nobody. You thought there was nobody. And then when you finally meet somebody that you can date, now you don't want to deal and settle down with them, because now why should you settle with them? You got all these other options that you might have to explore. It's called bullshit. Both men and women do it. And you know that it's true. And I can't wait for somebody to get up here lying, because the damn thing is true. And I'm about addressing the pink elephants in the room. I'm sorry. Because if this is a problem that everybody claims is a problem, then what we have to do is start addressing the fundamental causes of what these problems are. Both men and women have someone, and this is another true statement. Both men and women have someone who worships the ground they walk on. But they ignore that person because they're not attracted to them. Now, what that shows me is that when a person says, well, all I want is somebody that just has my back, that's a goddamn lie. Because sexual attraction is more important than someone having your back. If I'm lying, if you really think that I'm lying and that that's not the case, I want the girl who has this guy who worships the ground that she walks on, that she ignores, give him some ass. Or that girl that you're ignoring for the dudes that worships the ground that you walk on, give her some dick. Do you know what would happen if a girl walked up to a dude who's been worshiping the ground that she walked on, and told him, you know what? I want to give you some ass today, right now. Do you know what would happen? She would look in his eyes and his lips would start trembling and a tear would roll down the side of his face. That's what the guy would do. Now, I don't know what the girl would do, but something tells me that it's going to be the equivalent of that. I don't know how she's going to express that. But let that dude that this girl feels is the greatest thing since sliced bread, let him go up to her and say, you know what? I'm really feeling you right now and I want to give you some dick. What do you think she's going to do? She's going to react with that same sense of strong emotion that dude that the girl was ignoring, acts like. So if you really want somebody to have your back, why don't you get with the person that walks on the, worship the ground that you walk on? You know why? Because you're not attracted to them. That's why. And like it goes back to my first point, what is good for us is not what we are attracted to. Now, I often said this, and I've said this before when I've called in the shows, but I'll just reiterate it again. People treat relationships like the movies. What I mean by that is that when you go to see the Transformers, you know that there's no such thing as Optimus Prime. You know there's no such thing as Megatron. You know the Transformers do not exist. You know when you walk into the theater that this is a fictional story. The thing is, when you go to see the movie, and same thing with, well, I'll stick with the movies. I ain't going to get sidetracked. But when you go to the movies, what you want to do is you want to experience, you want it to be real. You want the movie to be so good that you feel like it's real. So when you go in there, you don't want to see bad acting. You don't want to see bad direction. You don't want to see bad lighting. You don't want to see technical problems. You don't want to see like you're in a scene and then the actor has a microphone hanging over his head or over their head or whatever, because that's going to take you out of the fantasy. You want the execution of that fantasy to be so on point that you think the fantasy is real. And that's exactly how we treat relationships. So when I hear people say, oh, all I want is the truth. No, you don't. What you want is game. You want the game to be so tight that you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction. So until we start addressing the bullshit within ourselves, I think that it's counterproductive and disingenuous to start blaming our relationship problems on something that's outside of ourselves. Both men and women have to acknowledge those pink elephants in the room, and they got to acknowledge how full of shit they are when it comes to what they're attracted to versus what they ideologically feel a mate should be. Because you can sit there and go, oh, well, I want my woman to be, everybody has this resume that they hand out, like, oh, well, he works at this place, he has a good job, he has good health, he has a lot of money in the bank, he has dental, he has coverage, he has this and whatever. And then you think that you're going to present your resume to somebody and that's going to make them attracted to you. Attraction is chemical. You know what I'm saying? It's a chemical attraction. It's like you either you see someone, you're attracted to them, or you're not. I can't go to a girl with my resume if I'm not her type. If I'm not her type, it ain't gonna happen. Well, it'll happen because people get into relationships for reasons other than attraction. Like most of the time, people get into relationships based on convenience. They're not in love with the person, they're in love with the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean that you're not going to be in a relationship just because someone isn't attracted to you, because you might have other things that you're bringing to the table. But I can tell you this, that person won't be fulfilled. Neither person will be fulfilled because they're not actually in a relationship with somebody that they feel connected to on a holistic level. And whether that holistic level even exists, hell, I don't know. I'm not a relationship expert. But I can tell you this, what people are doing are trying to fit that square peg into the round hole. And that's the problem. So let's address that. And let's stop blaming other people for the reason why we're not in a relationship and start pointing to our own bullshit. Because there's a lot of women out there who have dudes that fit all these categories, but you ain't giving them no ass. You ain't giving them no energy. And there's a lot of dudes that have women out there that fit the categories that they want, but they ain't feeling them because you ain't attracted to them. So let's address that pink elephant in the room, that dichotomy between what we are attracted to and what we think is good, or what is actually good for us. And until we do that, then this is all just, theatrics. And that's all I really have to say about that. I hope I made some type of sense, and I hope I told some type of truth. And if I didn't, just holler at me, give me the thumbs down. Like, there's somebody that always gives me a thumb down no matter what video I do. So keep on hating. Or keep on loving. Talk to you later. Peace.